Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of the Lupus Living Podcast. This is Gwen Alexander, your host. This is a podcast to help those of you living with lupus navigate the challenges that you face. This podcast is also to help the loved ones of those living with lupus understand what we deal with on a daily basis and how you could help us with living with lupus. I say welcome and thank you for listening to the podcast. And to get the latest notifications of episodes that are put out there, be sure to click the subscribe button on your favorite podcast app or even on YouTube. So click the subscribe button. And you can also follow the podcast on Facebook.com. That's Facebook.com/Lupus Living Podcast. And also on Instagram at the Lupus Living Podcast. Shingles are painful. Okay, I can end the episode there, but I'm not. So I'm just joking. But how do I know shingles are painful? Because I experienced this a few months ago. Now, I mentioned in the first episode of the year that I had shingles and I would make an episode about it. And I wish I knew what I wish I knew then what I know now. And by the time I went to the doctor about it, I was past the time when I could have been given medication to lessen my symptoms. And all of my symptoms, except one, were the same as my lupus flare symptoms. That's why I waited so long to get the help that I needed for shingles. In November of 2021, so that was only a few months ago, I felt like I had a knot on my back, and it was on my left side and on my upper back. And I thought I'd pulled a muscle. And each day it hurt just a little more, so I thought I needed to make a visit to the chiropractor. And when I went, I could barely move my left arm. And when he got to that area of my back, he said in a concerned voice, "What did you do?" And my response was, "I don't know." So he did his adjustment, and it felt a little bit better, but not too much. And sometimes it takes a few days for me to feel better. So I didn't think much of the fact that I didn't feel instant relief like I usually do. And then one day I was rubbing like under my arm and I felt some bumps. And I just thought the area was irritated because I was trying a new deodorant. And then the next day, my left arm still felt different. The best way to describe it is it felt slightly numb. And I thought that was strange. And I also remember my upper back on that same side was starting to itch a little more than usual. It seemed like regular itching, but just a little more irritating. And I have dry skin, and my back itching is not unusual. But I started to notice that it was in the same area all the time. And I was also feeling extra tired. I thought, great, I'm getting a flare. And I tried to rest and I tried to go to bed early. And this one morning, I woke up and the itching was really bad in that area. So I got a handheld mirror and I did the trick of standing with my back to a mirror and looking into the handheld mirror in front of me. When I saw the rash, I just froze. I was like, "What is that?" And so I was worried that I was having a bad reaction to some antibiotics that I was taking at that time. I decided to go to the emergency room at the hospital because I did feel like I had a fever and I was still really tired, and that numb feeling in my arm was really starting to concern me. So that huge rash was the thing that let me know something is not right. And it did hurt to have my clothes touching that area by that point. And so when I got to the hospital, I was able to get in quickly. And I have learned since having lupus to say everything, no matter how small of symptoms that it seems that you experience. And when the doctor came in to examine me, I showed him the area and it took him just a few seconds to say, "You have shingles." I said, "I'm too young to have shingles." And I think I got a little bit of a laugh out of him. And I told him when the symptoms started, and he said that it was past the time he could have given me something to lessen my symptoms, but I needed to come in earlier. Now, if I had known it wasn't a lupus flare that I was having, I would have contacted my doctor at that moment. My shingles were like textbook, just like my lupus, on the way that the rash followed on my body. And the first week was really difficult. That's when the fatigue was really bad, the pain, the tenderness of my skin in that area. And I left work early that one day, and then I took a day off because it just hurt so bad. And I couldn't stay awake either, so that didn't help. So I fell asleep in my chair, and I had to elevate my arm whenever I did. It was also hard to wear clothes on that area because the rash was also on the upper part of my back. So when I went back to work, I had the pillow where I could rest my arm up so I could sit at my desk. And I just tried not to move very much because that would make it hurt even more. It took me about a month to get through the rash to dry out and the pain subsiding and the extreme fatigue to go away. And I remember the first day that I felt normal. It felt like I was coming out of a fog. So, in today's episode, I want to share with each of you the symptoms of shingles so that you'll know what's happening and that you'll be able to get help as quick as possible.